What if I told you that the most dangerous moment of your entire day is not when you're driving through traffic, not when you're under deadline pressure at work, not even when you're arguing with someone you love, but the moment you open your eyes every single morning and reach for your phone? What if the habits you have practiced faithfully for the last 20, 30, maybe 40 years, the habits that feel completely harmless, completely normal, completely routine, are quietly, invisibly, systematically weakening the walls of your arteries with every single sunrise? What if the heart attack that doctors say came out of nowhere was actually being built brick by four specific morning behaviors that almost every person over 60 is doing right now today without any warning, without any pain, without any sign? You are not going to find this information on a prescription bottle. Your doctor probably has 7 minutes with you and moves on. But what a cardiologist has discovered by studying thousands of patients, hundreds of scientific papers, and the biology of how human blood vessels actually age is going to change the way you wake up forever. Stay with me. Your heart is listening. What if the four most dangerous things you do every single day happen before you even leave your bedroom? I want you to think about this morning. Think about exactly what you did the moment your eyes opened. Did you reach for your phone? Did you jump out of bed quickly? Did you drink a cup of coffee before you drank a single drop of water? Did you skip eating because you were not hungry, because you are over 60 and your appetite has simply become smaller? Every single one of those behaviors, and I want you to hear this clearly, has been scientifically linked to increased cardiac events in adults over the age of 60. Not theoretically linked, not possibly linked, documented, studied, and confirmed, linked. The human heart after 60 is not the same organ it was at 35. The arterial walls have lost elasticity. The electrical conduction pathways have aged. The body's inflammatory response is slower to quiet itself. And yet we treat our morning routine as if we are still 28 years old with unlimited biological resilience. We are not. And the gap between that assumption and biological reality is exactly where heart attacks live. Let us talk about the first habit. And I want you to understand this not as a warning, but as a revelation about what is actually happening inside your body at the cellular level when you do this. When you are sleeping, your blood becomes thicker. This is not a malfunction, this is ancient biology. Your body reduces circulation during sleep to conserve energy, and as a natural consequence, your blood viscosity increases through the night. By the time you wake up, after 6, 7, 8 hours without water, your blood is measurably more concentrated, more dense, more prone to forming the kind of thick, slow moving clots that can lodge in a coronary artery and stop a heart in under 4 minutes. Now, here's what makes this catastrophic for people over 60 specifically. Younger hearts have stronger, more flexible arterial walls that can manage increased blood viscosity. But after 60, arterial stiffness is nearly universal. The arteries cannot expand and contract with the same efficiency. So when thick morning blood begins moving through stiff, aging arteries, the friction increases, the pressure increases, and if there is any existing plaque, any narrowing, any inflammation, that is the environment where a clot does not just form, it detonates. And what is the very first thing most people over 60 do every morning? They walk straight to the coffee machine, not to the water, not to the kitchen tap, to the coffee. And caffeine, which is a powerful vasoconstrictor, narrows blood vessels at the exact moment when those vessels need to be open, flexible, and accommodating to thickened morning blood. The combination of dehydration, blood viscosity, and caffeine induced vasoconstriction in a 60 plus cardiovascular system is not just unhealthy, it is a physiological setup for disaster. The solution is not complicated and it does not require medication. 16 ounces of water, room temperature, not ice cold, and I will explain why temperature matters in a moment, before any caffeine enters your body. This single act begins the process of diluting morning blood viscosity, supporting the kidneys in flushing overnight metabolic waste, and preparing the vascular system for the cortisol surge that is about to happen whether you want it to or not. Which brings us to the second habit, and this one surprises people because it sounds like something healthy, something disciplined, something that fitness culture has been praising for decades. Jumping out of bed immediately when your alarm goes off. We have been told this is productivity. We have been told this is discipline. We have been told that successful people do not hit snooze. They rise with purpose. They attack the morning with energy. And perhaps for a 30-year-old cardiovascular system, this advice is manageable. But for a body over 60, this is one of the most physiologically violent things you can do to your heart. Here is what is happening biologically when you go from horizontal sleep to vertical standing in under 30 seconds. Your body experiences what scientists call orthostatic stress, a sudden gravitational demand on the cardiovascular system to redirect blood from your core to your extremities and your brain simultaneously. In young, healthy hearts, this transition is managed almost automatically. The heart rate adjusts, the blood vessels respond, the autonomic nervous system compensates within seconds. But after 60, the autonomic nervous system's response time has slowed. The baroreceptors, the pressure sensors in your arteries, are less sensitive. The heart muscle itself is less capable of instantaneous adjustment. So when you stand up suddenly, blood pressure can drop dramatically in a matter of seconds, causing what is called orthostatic hypotension. And in an attempt to compensate, the heart then overreacts, pushing pressure back up rapidly and aggressively. This violent pressure oscillation, down then sharply up, in arteries that are already stiff, already carrying thickened blood, is one of the most documented triggers of morning cardiac events in older adults. The research is not ambiguous. Studies have shown that people over 60 who practice slow, staged rising, sitting up for 60 to 90 seconds before standing, allowing the body's pressure systems to equalize, have measurably lower morning cardiac event rates. 60 to 90 seconds. That is the cost of protecting your heart from one of its most dangerous daily threats. I want you to also understand what is happening hormonally during this first 30 minutes of waking, because this is where the science becomes both fascinating and alarming. Your body releases a surge of cortisol, your primary stress hormone, within the first 30 minutes of consciousness every morning. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and it serves a biological purpose. It is designed to give you energy, mobilize glucose, prepare your immune system, and sharpen your focus for the challenges of a new day. But cortisol also raises blood pressure. It increases heart rate, it promotes inflammation in the arterial walls, and when you combine this natural, unavoidable cortisol surge with the additional stress of suddenly standing up, immediately checking your phone for notifications, emails, news alerts, and social media, you are layering psychological stress hormones on top of physiological stress hormones, on top of an already compromised morning cardiovascular state. The phone. Let us talk about this third habit because it is the most modern, the most invisible, and in many ways the most insidious of the four. The moment most people over 60 reach for their smartphone within the first 5 minutes of waking, they are not simply checking messages. They are activating their amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, before their prefrontal cortex has even fully come online. The amygdala processes information faster than conscious thought. It does not evaluate whether the news alert is truly dangerous or whether the email requires immediate action. It simply responds, and it responds the same way it responded to physical threats for 2 million years of human evolution. It triggers a cascade of stress hormones designed for immediate physical survival. Adrenaline floods the bloodstream. Noradrenaline spikes. The heart rate accelerates. Blood vessels constrict. Blood pressure rises. And in a 60-plus cardiovascular system that is already managing morning blood viscosity, already responding to orthostatic stress, already navigating the cortisol awakening response, this third simultaneous assault is not just stressful, it is measurably, documentably dangerous. Research from the American Journal of Cardiology has shown that emotional stress, even brief, even perceived, even the low grade stress of reading difficult news, can reduce the heart's pumping efficiency by up to 7% in adults with existing arterial stiffness. 7%. In a heart that is already working harder to push thicker blood through stiffer arteries, a 7% reduction in pumping efficiency is not a small number. It is the difference between a cardiovascular system that compensates and one that cannot. The prescription here is not to abandon technology. It is to create a morning boundary, a protected window of even 20 minutes, where the first information that enters your nervous system after sleep is not threat based, not reactive, not algorithmically designed to provoke emotional engagement. 20 minutes of biological stabilization before you expose your cardiovascular system to the demands of the digital world. This is not luxury. This is medicine. Now, the fourth habit. And this one I want to discuss with particular care because it is deeply personal for many people, particularly in cultures where eating breakfast has never been a strong tradition, and for many people over 60 whose appetite has naturally decreased with age. Skipping breakfast. I am not talking about intermittent fasting as a structured, intentional, medically supervised practice in people who are healthy and well hydrated and whose cardiovascular markers are being monitored. I am talking about the routine, casual, unconsidered habit of waking up, having coffee, and simply not eating for the first 3, 4, 5 hours of the day because you do not feel hungry. Here is what that does inside a body over 60. After a full night of fasting, because sleep is a fast, your blood glucose levels are at their lowest point of the day. Your insulin sensitivity is in a complex state. Your body is signaling for fuel. And when that fuel does not arrive, the body activates emergency energy protocols. Specifically, it increases cortisol production to mobilize stored glucose from the liver and muscles. More cortisol on top of the morning cortisol surge that is already happening, on top of the phone triggered adrenaline, on top of the cardiovascular stress of orthostatic pressure changes. The cumulative inflammatory load on the arterial endothelium, the incredibly thin, incredibly important inner lining of your blood vessels, is not academic. Chronic morning inflammation of the endothelium is one of the primary mechanisms through which arterial plaque becomes unstable, and unstable plaque does not slowly and gradually cause a heart attack. Unstable plaque ruptures suddenly without warning, and the body's clotting response to that rupture is what causes the majority of fatal cardiac events. A small, nutrient dense morning meal, something that includes protein, something that includes healthy fats, something that provides the raw materials your cardiovascular system needs to begin producing the molecules that protect arterial walls, is not optional nutrition advice for people over 60. It is cardiovascular protection. It is the biological difference between an endothelium that is healing and one that is being chronically degraded by morning stress hormones and fasting induced inflammation. I want to talk for a moment about something that does not get enough attention in mainstream cardiology conversations, and that is the extraordinary capacity of the human body to regenerate, to actually reverse damage, to grow new protective blood vessels, to reduce arterial inflammation, to improve the health of the endothelium through specific evidence based lifestyle practices. This is not wishful thinking. This is angiogenesis. This is the body's built in capacity to build new microvascular networks that supply the heart with additional blood flow, additional oxygen, additional protection. But angiogenesis is suppressed by chronic inflammation. It is suppressed by oxidative stress. It is suppressed by the exact biological environment that these four morning habits create every single day. When you hydrate properly upon waking, when you rise slowly and allow your cardiovascular system to adjust, when you protect your morning nervous system from immediate stress activation, when you nourish your body with the fuel it needs to repair and rebuild, you are not just avoiding a heart attack. You are actively creating the biological conditions in which your heart can become stronger, more resilient, and more protected than it was even yesterday. This is the message that is missing from most medical conversations. We focus on what to avoid. We focus on what is dangerous. But the human body's capacity for regeneration at 60, at 65, at 70 and beyond is genuinely extraordinary. And it responds directly to the choices you make in those first 90 minutes every morning. The morning is not just the beginning of your day for your cardiovascular system. The morning is the most intense biological transition of every 24 hours, a transition from sleep physiology to waking physiology, from rest to activity, from hormonal baseline to hormonal peak. How you navigate that transition, the specific behaviors you choose or unconsciously repeat, directly determines how much stress your heart absorbs, how much inflammation your arteries experience, and whether the protective mechanisms that keep you alive are being supported or undermined. Four habits: water before coffee, slow, staged rising, phone free morning window, a small protective breakfast. Four habits that cost nothing, require no prescription, demand no gym membership, and can begin tomorrow morning the moment your eyes open. Your heart has been working for you without a single break since before you were born. It has never asked for a vacation. It has never demanded recognition. It is simply beaten and beaten and beaten, an average of 100,000 times every single day of your life. After 60 years, after 60 years of faithful, tireless, unconditional service, it is asking for something in return. It is asking for 90 minutes, the first 90 minutes of your morning, not for exercise, not for meditation, not for anything that requires significant time or effort, simply for four behaviors that align with its biology rather than working against it. The science is clear. The mechanism is understood. The solution is available to everyone right now at no cost. The only question is whether you will choose to act on it. What began as a warning about morning habits is actually a much larger story. It is a story about respect. Respect for a cardiovascular system that has sustained your entire existence across decades, and respect for the science that now shows us, with remarkable clarity, exactly how to protect it. The four habits: dehydration compounded by immediate caffeine, sudden physical rising, immediate emotional stress through technology, and skipping morning nutrition, are not inevitable. They are not permanent. They are not beyond your ability to change. They are simply patterns, and patterns can be interrupted, redirected, and replaced with behaviors that support life rather than compromise it. After 60, the stakes are real, but so is the capacity for change. So is the body's ability to respond to better choices with measurably better outcomes. The morning is your opportunity, every single morning, without exception, to give your heart what it needs to protect you for another day, another year, another decade. This information is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create agency. You now know what the research shows. You now understand what is happening biologically in those first 90 minutes. And you now have the tools to make those 90 minutes work for your heart rather than against it. Begin tomorrow. Begin with water. Begin with slowness. Begin with silence. Begin with nourishment. And watch what your heart does when you finally give it the morning it has always deserved.